There is a quiet power in the hours before the world awakens. Long before emails begin to flood inboxes, before the noise of traffic fills the streets, and before the demands of the day pull your attention in 100 directions, there exists a sacred time. It is the hour of stillness, when most people are asleep, and the world belongs only to those who dare to rise. The 5 a.m. Club is not just about an alarm clock. It is about reclaiming your life before the day takes it from you. To wake up at 5 a.m. is to step into a sanctuary of clarity, a space where your body, mind, and spirit can prepare for greatness. This is the philosophy Robin Sharma wove into his story, a tale of two ordinary people searching for answers who stumble upon an eccentric mentor that teaches them one of the most powerful habits of the world's most successful people. Think for a moment about how most mornings unfold. The alarm rings, often too late, and the first instinct is to reach for a phone. Within seconds, the mind is hijacked by notifications, social media updates, or the endless scroll of news. Instead of beginning the day on your own terms, you begin it on someone else's. This is why so many live in a constant state of reaction, rushing from one demand to another, never feeling fully in control. The 5 a.m. Club is the antidote to that chaos. It is the simple but transformative act of rising early, carving out time before the noise and dedicating those precious hours to becoming stronger, wiser, and more focused. The magic of this habit is not just in the time of day, but in what it represents. Waking up at 5 a.m. is a declaration that you value growth over comfort. It is a choice to trade one more hour of sleep for a lifetime of advantage. In those first quiet hours, your brain is rested, your willpower is strong, and your creativity is at its peak. Neuroscience confirms this. Early mornings offer the ideal environment for deep focus, learning, and productivity. When you start your day with intention, you set the tone for everything that follows. But the beauty of the 5 a.m. Club is that it is not only about performance, it is also about peace. These early hours are a gift to yourself, a time to exercise, to reflect, to pray, to learn, or simply to sit in stillness while the world is silent. It is a rhythm that aligns not only with how geniuses and leaders have worked throughout history, but also with the natural cycles of the body and mind. The great inventors, the philosophers, the titans of business, they all understood that the morning holds secrets that the rest of the day cannot offer. The truth is, no one stumbles into greatness. Success does not arrive fully formed. It is shaped in the choices you make each day. And among the most powerful of these choices is how you spend your mornings. To rise early is to give yourself the space to design your life, instead of drifting through it. It is to say, before the world makes demands of me, I will strengthen myself. That is why winners wake up at 5 a.m., not because they love alarm clocks, but because they love their lives too much to waste the first, freshest hours of the day. So this is where our journey begins, with a challenge to rethink mornings, to see them not as something to survive, but as the foundation of mastery. In the pages ahead, you will step into the world of the 5 a.m. Club, where ordinary people learn extraordinary habits, where science meets story, and where discipline becomes freedom. The question is simple. Will you continue to wake when the world tells you to, or will you rise when your destiny calls? The story of the 5 a.m. Club begins not with a lecture or a list of rules, but with two people who were struggling. One was an artist, gifted but trapped in self-doubt. The other was an entrepreneur, ambitious but weighed down by exhaustion and chaos. Both felt lost, searching for answers to why their lives, despite talent and effort, felt incomplete. By chance, they found themselves at a seminar where the speaker promised a path to greatness. But it was not the polished stage that changed them. It was an unexpected meeting with a man who seemed eccentric, even out of place, yet carried a wisdom deeper than anything they had heard before. This mysterious figure would become their guide, into a world of discipline, creativity, and mastery. Beginning with a simple but radical truth: wake up before the sun. At first, the advice seemed almost ridiculous. Could something as ordinary as waking at 5 a.m. really be the key to unlocking extraordinary potential? But the mentor insisted, not with arrogance, but with the calm authority of someone who would live the results. He explained that the quiet hours of the morning were a gift most people ignored, a sacred space where clarity, energy, and vision could be cultivated without distraction. The artist and entrepreneur, though skeptical, decided to follow him. What unfolded was not just a lesson in mornings, but in life itself. They learned that mastery is not reserved for the few, but for those willing to shape their days with intention. They discovered that greatness is less about talent and more about the choices repeated daily. Through stories, examples, and timeless principles, their mentor revealed how business leaders, athletes, and thinkers throughout history had guarded their mornings as fiercely as others guard their treasures. The 5 a.m. Club was not a club of exclusivity, but of courage. The courage to live differently, to reject mediocrity, to rise when the world sleeps. As the journey continued, both the artist and entrepreneur began to notice shifts. The fog of distraction lifted, the weight of doubt grew lighter. In the stillness of dawn, they found space to think, to create, to plan, and to dream. What once felt like a struggle to survive began to feel like a chance to thrive. This story is more than a parable. It is an invitation. It reminds us that change rarely arrives in dramatic moments. Often it begins with small, consistent habits that compound over time. And among those, few are as powerful as the decision to rise early, to claim the first hours of the day for yourself. The eccentric mentor's wisdom was not about rules, but about freedom. The freedom to choose your life instead of letting life choose for you. And so the 5 a.m. Club was born, not as a secret society, but as a mindset, a way of living that says your mornings belong to you, and through them, your life can be transformed. Most people begin their mornings in survival mode. They wake up late, rush through routines, check their phones before they even check in with themselves, and step into the day already behind. This cycle becomes so normal that many never question it. But ordinary mornings lead to ordinary lives, because how you start your day determines how you live it. Think of mornings as the foundation of a building. If the foundation is weak, the structure cannot stand tall for long. When mornings are chaotic, the entire day inherits that instability. Stress compounds, decisions feel heavier, and by nightfall, exhaustion replaces energy. Yet the same principle works in reverse. Strong mornings create strong lives. Those who design their mornings with intention are not simply early risers, they are builders of momentum. They enter the day with clarity instead of confusion, with focus instead of distraction. This is why the mentor of the 5 a.m. Club emphasized that rising early is not about productivity for productivity's sake, but about creating space to live at your highest level. The ordinary way, sleeping late, reacting to alarms, stumbling through rushed breakfasts, is the path of least resistance, but it is also the path that keeps people stuck in mediocrity. Extraordinary people choose differently. They understand that when you win the morning, you win the day. Consider the leaders, the thinkers, the artists, the innovators. History shows us a common thread. They guarded their mornings fiercely. They understood that their best work required their best energy, and the early hours were the only time free from the demands of the world. By contrast, those who surrender mornings to distraction often spend entire lives chasing urgency instead of creating significance. Ordinary mornings also rob you of reflection. When you wake and immediately step into the noise, there is no room for stillness, no moment to ask yourself where you are headed or who you are becoming. Days blur together, years pass quickly, and people wake up decades later wondering why they never became who they wanted to be. The 5 a.m. Club challenges this drift. It insists that greatness is built not in grand moments, but in quiet rituals repeated daily. It invites you to step out of the current of ordinary mornings and into the rare air of extraordinary ones. And while it may feel uncomfortable at first, the reward is profound. The gift of a life lived with purpose instead of passivity.
The wisdom of rising early is not just poetic, it is grounded in the science of the brain. Neuroscience tells us that our minds are most impressionable in the first hours of the day. When you wake up, your brain cycles out of deep sleep and into heightened states of awareness. The prefrontal cortex, which governs focus and decision-making, is at its freshest. Willpower, which tends to deplete as the day goes on, is at its strongest in these early moments. What you do during this time quite literally rewires your brain, shaping the neural pathways that determine how you think, feel, and act. This is why ordinary mornings filled with distraction train the brain for scattered thinking, while intentional mornings strengthen the circuitry for clarity and discipline. The mentor in the 5 a.m. club explained it simply. Your brain is like a fertile field at dawn. Whatever seeds you plant first will grow the strongest. If you begin your day with chaos, rushing, scrolling, reacting, those seeds of stress and distraction spread quickly. But if you begin your day with reflection, exercise, gratitude, or learning, you are planting seeds of resilience, focus, and growth. Over time, those pathways become your default, not because of willpower alone, but because of neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change itself based on repetition. This is why so many successful people swear by their morning routines. They understand that the early hours are not just about productivity, they are about brain training. Consider athletes who visualize success before competition, entrepreneurs who write down goals before the day begins, or creators who protect their mornings for deep work. Each is strengthening neural circuits aligned with performance and focus. The habit of rising early compounds because the brain rewards it. The dopamine of progress, the serotonin of calm, the oxytocin of meaningful connection with self or purpose. The science also explains why mornings feel different. Cortisol, the body's alertness hormone, naturally spikes shortly after waking, giving you energy. Melatonin, the sleep hormone, has faded, leaving you clear-headed. And in the stillness of dawn, with fewer external distractions, your brain experiences what researchers call alpha wave dominance, a state that bridges relaxation and alertness, making it perfect for creativity and problem solving. This is why many breakthroughs, inventions, and artistic works have been born in the early hours. The brain, rested and quiet, is primed for brilliance. But the flip side is also true. If you waste these hours, you lose the window where your brain is most capable of growth. By filling mornings with noise, you train your mind to be reactive instead of proactive. This is why so many people feel like passengers in their own lives, driven by external demands instead of their own inner compass. The 5 a.m. Club invites you to step out of that pattern. It challenges you to use neuroscience in your favor, to rewire your brain through intentional practice. This is not about perfection or rigidity, it is about consistency. Even 20 minutes of focused activity in the early morning can shift your brain chemistry. Over time, it becomes easier, even natural, to think clearly and act decisively. The mind you once believed was restless or scattered can be reshaped into one that is calm and strong. And it all begins with the simple but profound act of rising early and choosing how you will use the most powerful hours your brain will give you each day.
At the heart of the 5 a.m. Club is a simple framework that transforms those early hours into a powerful ritual, the 20-20-20 formula. This method divides the first hour of your day into 3 blocks of 20 minutes, each designed to strengthen a different part of your being: body, mind, and spirit. The genius of this formula is its simplicity. In just 60 minutes, you can prime yourself for focus, productivity, and purpose, long before most of the world has stirred. The first 20 minutes are devoted to movement. Exercise at dawn doesn't just wake the body, it ignites the brain. Physical activity floods your system with endorphins, lowering stress and lifting mood. It activates brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that enhances neural connections, making you sharper and more creative. The second 20 minutes are for reflection. This is the time to journal, to pray, to meditate, or to simply sit in silence. Reflection grounds you, clears away mental clutter, and reconnects you with what truly matters. In a world obsessed with rushing forward, this pause at dawn becomes a sacred moment to align your intentions with your values. The final 20 minutes are for growth. This is when you read, study, or learn something new. By feeding your mind with knowledge at the start of the day, you set yourself up not only to be productive, but also to grow continuously, day after day. Over time, these small investments compound into mastery. Together, these 3 pillars, movement, reflection, and growth, ensure that your mornings nourish every part of you. It is not enough to be strong in body but weak in spirit, or wise in thought but drained in energy. The 20-20-20 formula keeps you balanced, ensuring that each dawn strengthens your entire self. What makes this practice so powerful is that it requires no special tools or complex systems. It only asks for discipline. The reward is profound: clarity of thought, strength of body, and depth of spirit, all before the rest of the world has even begun to stir. This formula is the essence of the 5 a.m. Club, and for those who embrace it, it becomes not just a routine, but a revolution.
The first pillar of the 20-20-20 formula movement is more than exercise. It is the deliberate act of priming your body to carry the weight of the day ahead. Physical mastery is the foundation upon which all other forms of mastery are built. If your body is weak, unfocused, or drained, even the sharpest mind will stumble. This is why the mentor of the 5 a.m. Club insisted that greatness begins with sweat. In those first 20 minutes of motion, you are not simply burning calories. You are signaling to your brain and body that you are alive, ready, and engaged. Exercise floods your system with endorphins, lifting your mood and sharpening your focus. It stimulates the release of dopamine, which fuels motivation, and serotonin, which stabilizes emotions. At the same time, it reduces cortisol, the stress hormone that weighs so heavily on modern lives. Movement at dawn is like pressing a reset button, clearing away the fog of sleep and giving you a burst of clarity and energy that lasts throughout the day. Think of it as lighting a fire. Without that spark, the rest of the day can feel sluggish, reactive, and uninspired. But when you begin with motion, a run, stretching, yoga, even dancing to music in your room, you ignite energy that carries you forward. The artist in the 5 a.m. Club began to notice that ideas flowed more freely after exercise. The entrepreneur found that challenges felt less overwhelming once her body was awake and engaged. These were not accidents. Science shows that movement improves neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections, meaning that early exercise doesn't just strengthen muscles, it strengthens thinking. Physical mastery is also about discipline. To rise at dawn and move your body when comfort whispers for more sleep is an act of self-respect. It is telling yourself that you are worth the effort, and that choice builds resilience. Each morning, as you push through resistance, you cultivate grit, the kind of toughness that doesn't vanish when life gets difficult. Over time, this becomes identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who struggles with discipline, but as someone who chooses strength. That shift is transformative. Beyond health and focus, movement at dawn builds confidence. When you've already completed a victory before sunrise, the rest of the day feels conquerable. You've proven to yourself in the quiet hours that you can show up, follow through, and win. This confidence compounds, fueling not only your work, but your relationships, your creativity, and your ability to lead. Physical mastery is not about chasing perfection or appearance. It is about energy, resilience, and self-mastery. The truth is simple. If you do not make time for your body will eventually demand it, often in the form of illness, fatigue, or burnout. The 5 a.m. Club is about prevention, about building a body strong enough to hold the dreams you carry. Greatness is heavy. It requires stamina, endurance, and vitality. Movement in the early hours is how you prepare for that weight day after day. And when done consistently, it becomes more than a habit. It becomes who you are.
If movement awakens the body, reflection awakens the mind. The second pillar of the 20-20-20 formula is about looking inward, slowing down, and creating the mental clarity to guide the day. In a world where most mornings are consumed with rushing, scrolling, and reacting, few people ever stop to ask themselves the simplest but most powerful questions. Who am I becoming? Where am I going? What truly matters today? Reflection, journaling, and calm focus give you the space to answer those questions honestly before the noise of the world drowns them out. The mentor of the 5 a.m. Club understood this deeply. He taught that success is not only about achieving, but about aligning. Without reflection, people can run quickly, but in the wrong direction. They work hard, they chase goals, they stay busy, but years later they realize they were climbing the wrong mountain. Reflection ensures that the steps you take each day move you toward the life you actually want, not the one the world pressures you into. Journaling is one of the simplest yet most profound tools of reflection. On paper, your thoughts slow down. Vague worries become concrete. Tangled emotions become understandable, and scattered ideas become structured. Writing each morning is not about producing something polished. It is about processing. It helps you unload what weighs on your mind, celebrate what is good, and clarify what needs to be done. Over time, the pages of a journal become a map of your growth, evidence of how far you've come, even when daily progress feels invisible. Calm focus is another key practice. Meditation, prayer, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts allows you to train your attention. In those moments, you learn to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them, to notice patterns of negativity or distraction, and to redirect your mind to what matters. Neuroscience shows that practices like these strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for focus and self-control. Just as exercise builds muscles, reflection builds mental resilience. Reflection also nurtures gratitude. By pausing to recognize what is already good, you train your brain to see abundance instead of lack, progress instead of only problems. Gratitude reframes challenges, reminding you that setbacks often carry lessons, and that even on the hardest days, there is still something worth appreciating. This perspective doesn't erase hardship, but it balances it with hope. Most importantly, reflection creates intentionality. Instead of being dragged by the current of the day, you set your course. Each morning becomes a reset button, giving you the chance to choose your attitude, your priorities, and your actions. Without this practice, it is easy to live reactively, always responding but rarely creating. With it, you begin to live deliberately, shaping your days instead of being shaped by them. Mental mastery is not about overthinking or chasing perfection. It is about clarity, calm, and purpose. It is the quiet strength that comes from knowing who you are and where you are going. By dedicating just 20 minutes each morning to reflection, journaling, and focus, you create the mental foundation to face the day with confidence. Over time, this practice doesn't just change mornings, it changes lives.
The final pillar of the 20-20-20 formula is growth, feeding your spirit through learning, creativity, and the pursuit of wisdom. If the first 20 minutes strengthen your body and the next 20 clear your mind, then this last segment nourishes the soul. In the early hours, your brain is primed for absorbing knowledge. The distractions of the day have not yet arrived, your willpower is still fresh, and your imagination is wide open. This is the time to learn, to read, to study, to create. It is a gift too many squander, filling mornings with noise instead of growth. But the world's greatest innovators and leaders all understood the importance of dedicating time to expansion. Growth at dawn does not mean piling on information for its own sake. It is about feeding yourself the kind of knowledge that elevates your thinking and shapes your character. Reading pages from a timeless book, studying a skill that sharpens your craft, or listening to an idea that challenges your perspective, each is an investment in becoming more than you were yesterday. These small increments compound into expertise, and expertise compounds into impact. In this way, mornings become a university of your own making, a quiet classroom where you decide what kind of wisdom you will carry into the world. Creativity also blooms in the morning. With your mind uncluttered and your energy high, ideas flow with greater ease. Whether it is writing, painting, planning, or problem solving, the dawn hours offer a unique clarity that rarely appears once the day becomes crowded. This is why artists, scientists, and entrepreneurs throughout history have often done their best work in the quiet before sunrise. To create in the morning is to collaborate with silence itself, allowing your imagination to stretch without interference. This time also strengthens resilience. Growth is not always comfortable. Learning challenges your assumptions, creativity exposes your vulnerability, and new ideas push you beyond the familiar. But by dedicating mornings to this pursuit, you train yourself to embrace challenge instead of avoid it. You teach your mind that discomfort is not an enemy but a pathway to expansion. Over time, this habit makes you not only more knowledgeable, but more adaptable, courageous, and alive. Perhaps most importantly, spiritual mastery reminds you that life is not only about achievement, it is about alignment with your deepest values and the discovery of meaning. Growth at dawn allows you to pause and ask not only how you will succeed, but why. It creates a rhythm where productivity is balanced by purpose and progress is matched with peace. In these early hours, you are not only building a stronger career or sharper mind, you are shaping a fuller life. The 5 a.m. Club teaches that the world will always be noisy, demanding, and distracting. But if you own your mornings, you own your life. Growth, learning, and creativity at dawn ensure that each day begins with expansion rather than contraction, with purpose rather than passivity. This is the secret to spiritual mastery, not in chasing more, but in becoming more. When you choose to grow each morning, you step closer to the person you were always meant to be. The world is not short on opportunities, but it is overflowing with distractions. In the age of constant notifications, endless scrolling, and digital noise, one of the greatest threats to mastery is not a lack of talent, but a lack of focus. The mentor of the 5 a.m. Club warned the artist and entrepreneur that the real challenge would not be learning the formula or rising at dawn, but protecting their mornings and their lives from the pull of trivial diversions. Because what you protect determines what you produce. If you allow distractions to seep into the sacred hours of your day, your gifts will never rise to their full potential. Distraction is subtle. It rarely arrives announcing itself as an enemy. Instead, it comes disguised as busyness, as urgency, as harmless entertainment. A quick glance at social media becomes 30 minutes lost. An email check, just to catch up, spirals into hours of reacting instead of creating. Over time, these small leaks drain focus, creativity, and momentum. The cost is high.
Dreams delayed, projects unfinished, potential wasted. Guarding against distraction is not about isolation from the world, but about discipline. It is the art of deciding what matters most and defending it fiercely. The early hours are especially vulnerable. The phone on your bedside table is a thief of clarity. The mind, fresh from rest, is easily hijacked by headlines, messages, or the curated lives of others. That is why the 5 a.m. Club insists that your mornings belong to you, not to your device. To reclaim focus, create boundaries. Place your phone in another room. Begin with silence, reflection, or reading instead of scrolling. Protecting your gifts means understanding that the first thoughts of the day shape the rest of it. Guarding against distraction is also about the company you keep. Not every voice deserves your attention, and not every demand deserves your energy. The world will always try to pull you in 100 directions, but mastery requires saying no more often than yes. The artist learned this as she began to filter out noise, focusing only on the work that mattered. The entrepreneur discovered that by removing trivial meetings and unnecessary obligations, she gained back the time and clarity to lead effectively. These were not small adjustments, they were shields against distraction, protecting the space needed for greatness to grow. Ultimately, distraction is the opposite of presence. It keeps you fragmented, scattered, and unfulfilled. Protecting your gifts requires you to live intentionally, to design your environment, and to prioritize what aligns with your values. The early morning hours are your fortress. Within them, you train your body, sharpen your mind, and expand your spirit. Outside them, you carry that clarity into a noisy world. The stronger your discipline, the harder it becomes for distraction to steal your focus. This is the hidden power of the 5 a.m. Club. It is not only about rising early, but about living deliberately. To guard your mornings is to guard your destiny. And in a world that profits from your distraction, your ability to focus is not just a habit, it is a superpower.
The power of the 5 a.m. Club is not found in a single morning, but in the discipline of many mornings strung together. Anyone can rise early once or twice, but transformation comes from consistency. Greatness is not the product of sudden inspiration, but of habits repeated with devotion. The mentor reminded the artist and the entrepreneur that discipline, not motivation, builds empires. Motivation fades, emotions shift, circumstances change, but habits endure. Rising at dawn becomes less about the clock and more about identity. Each time you wake at 5 a.m., you are casting a vote for the person you want to become, focused, intentional, and resilient. At first, the discipline feels unnatural. The body resists, the mind clings to comfort, and the allure of sleep tempts you back into bed. But habits are forged in friction. The discomfort you feel in the early days is the price of rewiring your patterns. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the reshaping of brain circuits through repetition. Each morning you rise, you strengthen those circuits until what once felt difficult becomes automatic. What was once discipline becomes natural rhythm. This is why the 5 a.m. Club is not just a tactic, but a lifestyle. Consistency is also about systems. Winners don't depend on willpower alone. They design environments that support their habits. Going to bed earlier, laying out clothes the night before, setting intentions for the morning. These small acts remove friction and make success easier. The entrepreneur discovered that by planning her evenings, her mornings no longer felt like a struggle. The artist learned that creating a ritual around dawn, the same music, the same tea, the same journal, helped anchor the habit into her identity. Habits grow roots when they are paired with ritual. Discipline also thrives on patience. Too often, people expect dramatic change in days and give up when results don't appear. But mastery belongs to those willing to play the long game. Just as a tree does not grow tall overnight, your life does not transform in a week. Yet with steady practice, small improvements compound into extraordinary outcomes. Rising early may feel like a simple act,
But over months and years, it creates a foundation of focus, health, and creativity that few can match. Most importantly, consistency builds trust in yourself. Each morning you follow through, you prove that your word matters, that you can depend on your own discipline. This quiet confidence seeps into every corner of life. Decisions become clearer, challenges less daunting, and opportunities more attainable. Consistency is the bridge between intention and reality, between who you are and who you are becoming. The truth is, anyone can wake up once with energy, but those who change the world are those who rise early not just occasionally, but habitually. They make discipline their ally and habit their teacher. They understand that greatness is not one grand decision, but 1,000 small choices repeated with courage. The 5 a.m. Club is not simply a call to rise, it is a call to persist. And in that persistence, ordinary people become extraordinary.
The 5 a.m. Club is not only about productivity, it is about living beautifully. Too often, the idea of rising early is framed as a way to work more, hustle harder, and squeeze extra output from already overloaded lives. But that was never the heart of the lesson. The eccentric mentor reminded the artist and entrepreneur that productivity without purpose is just busyness, and success without meaning is still failure. The true gift of rising at dawn is the chance to align achievement with fulfillment, to build not only an extraordinary career, but an extraordinary life. Living beautifully means balancing discipline with joy. It means using the early hours to fuel your work, but not allowing work to consume you. The 20-20-20 formula is a tool for mastery, but mastery must serve something greater than accumulation. It must serve your health, your relationships, your creativity, and your contribution to the world. When productivity is paired with purpose, you no longer chase empty victories. You build a life that feels whole. The artist discovered this as she began to paint not only with skill, but with soul. Her mornings gave her clarity to create art that touched hearts, not just canvases. The entrepreneur experienced it when she realized that her business was not only a machine for profit, but a platform to uplift others. These shifts did not come from more hours worked, but from deeper hours lived. Rising at 5 a.m. gave them the perspective to see beyond the rush of tasks to the essence of why they worked at all.
The journey of the 5 a.m. Club is not truly about the clock. It is about the life you choose to live. Waking before the world is not simply about productivity, but about possibility. It is the decision to rise when comfort calls you back to sleep, to choose growth when ease offers stagnation, and to honor your potential before the distractions of the day steal it away. The artist and entrepreneur discovered that their greatest breakthroughs did not come from the mentor's words alone, but from their own consistency, from showing up for themselves morning after morning until the habit became identity and the identity became freedom. That is the secret. When you rise at 5 a.m., you are not only changing your mornings, you are reshaping your entire existence. To rise early is to reclaim what is most scarce in this world: time. Time to think without interruption, time to move without distraction, time to dream without noise. These moments, multiplied day after day, create a foundation of strength and clarity that no storm can easily shake. And yet, the choice remains yours. Many will continue to drift through ordinary mornings, bound by the pull of comfort and the weight of distraction. But a few will decide differently. A few will embrace the quiet challenge of dawn, knowing that while the world sleeps, they are shaping futures, building resilience, and becoming who they were meant to be. The truth is, Every sunrise carries an invitation to reset, to renew, to begin again. You do not need to be perfect to start. You do not need to have every detail figured out. All you need is the courage to rise once, then again, until it becomes the rhythm of your life. In those early hours, you will find clarity where there was confusion, energy where there was exhaustion, and purpose where there was passivity. And slowly, steadily, you will discover that waking at 5 a.m. is not a burden, but a blessing, a daily reminder that your life is not meant to be ordinary. So let this be your call to rise, not because others expect it, not because a book suggests it, but because you are ready to claim more from yourself and for yourself. Greatness is not about what you achieve in public, but about the choices you make in private. And among those, few are as powerful as the choice to own your mornings. This is why winners wake at 5 a.m., not because they love waking early, but because they love who they become when they do. The only question left is, will you join them?